Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Kaba Ilko number 7150 DC-2060. This is a dummy cylinder is what it is. It's literally called a dummy cylinder. Could be called a blank cylinder, but dummy is how we would really call this. That means it's just flat, blank, has no operation, basically is a hole filler. It's a dummy. In a pair of doors, you'd have your active lock, and then you'd have your dummy trim. You know, dummy is just, something that's representative of what's there, what was there, filling the space, making it look otherwise normal. Why people buy dummy cylinders is because generally, almost always, and it occurred about 2 days ago, a client walked in, a local contractor, and had a mortise lock, and it's a passage function. So a passage function mortise lock is going to have the prep in the edge of the door for the cassette. It's going to have the spindle trim, the spindle on both sides. It will have likely a couple of holes for screws to go from a rose or a spring cage to the receiving portion of that. Well, somebody drilled some cylinder holes as well, on both sides of the door, actually, which was very odd. Although the client said one hole was smaller than the other, and I said, well, it's probably a thumb turn that they prepped it for, an entrance function. Cylinder on one side, thumb turn on the other side, those aren't in the same height. And then the client said, no, I think they're at the same height. I'm like, well, okay. They may have drilled it for a institutional double cylinder function, key on both sides. You can lock one side or lock both sides, control the opposite side with the key on the inside kind of thing. Well, he needed a couple of dummies because they were just going to thread the dummy cylinders in there and blank those holes off, because that dummy cylinder is a lot less expensive and generally readily available in comparison to an entire new door. So that's what dummies are used. Very occasionally a client will say, I need the exit device trim. I'm going to set it to it's a classroom style function where you can set it to it's either locked or unlocked, and you control that with a key. They're going to set it to unlocked during construction. They want to thread dummies into the exit device trim so no one can lock it, because it's just the construction phase of the project. And then when they want to turn that over to the permanent cores, they'll pull these dummy cylinders out, then put the permanent cores in. That's occurred in the past where someone said, I only need them temporarily. We're just got to fill these holes temporarily. Another reason why you'll buy a dummy cylinder is because you have an aluminum storefront. And this happens about twice a year. A client calls and says, oh my goodness, the inspector was here. He said I have to do this and this and this and this and this. Okay. Part of one of those this is removing the inside key cylinder in the path of egress. So you've got a certain occupancy quantity of people within the space. The inspector does not want to see a key cylinder there. That would prevent someone from being able to exit. And they'll say, either remove that, put on a panic device. Very common when the occupancy type involves daycare. A kindergarten school, applications like that, daycare. They're going to want that hardware gone and a proper panic device put on. Occasionally they'll say if it's a bar, it's a bad example, but it's one that comes to mind. I don't know the occupancy type of the room, but must have been more than 50. I'm thinking it was, well, no, I take that back. It was less than 50 because I've been in that space. The inspector permitted them to remove the thumb turn or key cylinder, slap one of these in there. You can never lock it from the inside. The only time you can lock that door is from the outside. And then put a decal on the header that says this door must remain locked during business hours. So you'll see it there as well. It becomes a hole filler is what it is. You'll use this on mortise locks or types of hardware that require a threaded cylinder like this. Speaking of threaded, this is a 1 in 5/32 diameter, 32 threads per inch. It's a standard within our industry for this size cylinder. You have 4 different diameter cylinders. Peanut cylinders, builder's hardware, which is, peanut cylinder is 3/4 inch. Builder's hardware, which is this, 1 in 5/32. You have jumbo or master ring, that's 1.5 inches. Then you have Mogul, that's 2-inch. This is by far the most common. I own one of each of those examples just in my lock collection. But when you're dealing with North American hardware, United States, Canada, this is going to, it's not detention work, meaning it's not in a prison. This is going to be it. Or it's not in a facility that uses the jumbo cylinder, the 1.5 inch, like a Big Ten university could have. Especially in New England, you'll see that cylinder. This is going to be what you're looking for. The 7150 specifically means it's a dummy cylinder, but it also means it's 15/16 length. This is going to come up just shy on that, I believe. Yeah, it's going to be closer to 13/16. And that's because mortise cylinders are almost always measured from the underside of the head to the back of the cam. There's no cam on a dummy cylinder, so you're missing the thickness of the cam. This would be classified as 15/16. That's the nominal size. A 3-foot door is not 36-inch in the commercial world. Nominal is 3 foot. Well, this is nominally 15/16. Its actual size is closer to 13/16, which is the length of the body, which interestingly is how Best Lock measures their cylinders regardless. It's the length of the body, so be mindful of that. Typical diameter, that is a satin chrome finish. That's 26D. So it's a 7150. It's a dummy mortise cylinder, 15/16. It's a DC for a dummy cylinder. Then it's 26D. Piece of brass that's here, that peel away protective film covering the satin chrome finish. That's on just that scalp plate, that thin piece of brass that's covering the solid piece of brass material. Let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at all of the supporting information. It won't be too long. There's not a whole lot to say about this, but just show you where we put the catalog. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. All right, now what we have here is the item itself. I have some photographs linked to down below. There's the box. There's the cylinder. There's a profile view showing the face of the cylinder and the scalp plate. Just scalp is a thin piece of material, brass generally. The underside of it, and then a close-up of the threads. 32 threads per inch. It's called ultra fine. It's because there's lots of threads packed in the material per inch. That's because generally what you're threading a mortise cylinder to is very thin material, like the case of a mortise lock. So that's why there's lots of threads per inch. Okay, extended description information. We've gone over all of this. Link below the video as seen here to the manufacturer's page, right here. From here you can pull up not only all of the Kaba Ilko products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation, but also a link to the manufacturer's website here, as well as a link to the brass cylinder manual. We'll pull that up. And about page 5 or 6, here it is. This page 6 is where they define their different mortise and rim cylinders, key and knob and deadbolt cylinders. This is a dummy cylinder, so it's going to be down in its own section. Dummy mortise cylinders. Different lengths. Why would you need different lengths? Well, different applications. You know, a mortise lock is going to need a different size. Now, that client from earlier this week I had mentioned, he ordered a couple of 1-inch, and I said to the client they're too long, in the sense that even a 1-inch dummy cylinder is still going to measure 7/8. You won't be able to thread those all the way down to the door because that's going to be, nominally 1 3/4. 7/8 plus 7/8, 1 3/4. The problem is your door. What I was driving at was he should use a small trim ring underneath here, because if that's 7/8, your door, if you put a caliper on it, it may not be 1.75. It's probably going to be 1.72. So he may not have gotten those threaded down all the way, but I have the, I get the impression that it was going to be good enough kind of stuff. So there you go. That's where that catalog is. These keyways show options if you're doing rim and mortise cylinders, things of that nature. Key and knob deadbolt cylinders as well. On this page are some manuals for their key machines, and other encyclopedic documents are here. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Alright, in conclusion, if you have any questions on the 7150 DC in a 2016, plus it can be done in all the different finishes, your brasses, your bronze, your chromes, your nickels, your satin, polished, oil rubbed, black, things of that nature. And why would you buy it from Kaba Ilko? Well, because it's inexpensive. If you buy a dummy cylinder from a major manufacturer, it's gonna be substantially more expensive than a Kaba Ilko product will be. And it's really a confluence of many things with Kaba Ilko: great value, great quality, superior technical support, and it's a confluence of all of those things put together, dollar for dollar. It's the cylinder that I'll use every chance that I get. A lot of people make cylinders, but Kaba Ilko is my go-to, and it's because of it's the confluence of all those things and others. Any questions on the 7150 DC and a 2060 finish or any other Kaba Ilko product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.